now, so look at the shadow. Oh, Carl's excited because he can open a beer.
I was trying to do it very quickly before the cat noticed what I was doing.
Yeah, because the cat figures out. So,
Here it is.
his beer is really happy to see him. Hold that.
Maybe you should mute your thingy.
Mm-hmm. There. Well, I haven't
Technical
had beer in a while.
expert.
Mm-hmm. So, okay. Today's a new month, new stitch, and Nella wrote me just in time. This was so fun. So this is why I had my sound on. I have to mute my YouTube there. Okay. So I'll turn my sound back on for a minute. You got to hear Polvijärvi. I've been working on this, but the thing is, I had looked it up. I'm like, okay, how the hell do you pronounce this word? Because I keep saying Polvijärvi or something. Polvijärvi. Let's see. And then, so she actually was reading my mind because she sent me a way to pronounce it right away. So I'll crank the flippin' volume, and you can hear how a Finlander says it.
I just thought to send you a...
This is Nella.
The way to pronounce the stitch of the month. So it's called Polvijärvi.
If you're a real Finlander.
Polvijärvi.
Polvijärvi.
And yeah, it means the meal lake.
The meal? Wait, cat. He couldn't get Karl's beer, so he decided to go and knock over. Okay, one more time.
I just thought to send you the way to pronounce the stitch of the month. So it's called Polvijärvi. Polvijärvi. And yeah, it means the Neil Lake.
Neil Lake, she said, I think. Nee Lake. Yeah. So there you go. Thank you, Nell. And it was perfect. Okay, now I'm going to mute my sound again here so I don't double up. And it looks like I lost the chat on my computer, so I'm going to reload that. Okay, so there you go. So that's the stitch we're going to learn. Max will be so happy. Max has been waiting for this stitch for what, 3 years now? It is like, well, it's the Russian family of stitches, but it's 1 plus 2 plus 2, which means that it has, there we go, now I got my chat back, that it's involving 5 loops on your fingers, so you're going to want to use something pretty thin or a really loose loop. I thought I was using thin enough yarn. I used this thickness. I have to loosen my gauge completely for that. So I switched to stuck there. This thickness, really thin. You can see it there. And it worked much better. Yeah, I put a link at the top of the chat. I pinned it. It's how Neulakentat does the stitch. But she's working it flat on there, which isn't something I do. And now I just yanked my stitch so tight that I have to loosen it up again before I can show it. So Karl, you're having a repeat beer because we ran out of new beers for you.
Yeah, no, that's good for me because then I can take the beers that I know that I like.
So now that you've spilled it all over the floor, yeah, it's the Belgian one. Which one is this one? Westmalle?
Yeah.
9.5%. So Karl's screwed up today, or will be. But don't worry, I'm going to keep pace because this is what is it called? Was it a candy shot? Yeah. It's from tantepoese.no anyway, and it's a little store. There was a little store in our store in the little teeny tiny town called Beerschelo that had it, and it was basically just like this hard candy snake at the bottom kind of a thing, or just like this worm of hard candy. And you have to add vodka and let it sit, which is what we did, and it was tasting so good. But look at the color of that thing. This is a mojito flavor. But we found out that Karl really likes it, so it's mine now. He can stick with beer because he can't mix these two together. It hits pretty hard. So I'm having some today, but I'm smart. At least that's what I'm said. Famous last words. I have to sip it a little at a time, see how it hits me, and then I can sip a little bit more. But more than this, that's enough. I don't want to be sick because then. But oh my, you want to smell? It's so good. Nope. So
good experiences.
I'm having a treat tonight too.
With green drinks, so.
Yeah, you did. Oops, I'm just putting my head on my microphone here. Okay, so I'll put that one down there. So I will have some too. And it's going to be really sweet at first, and then it kicks really hard. There's the vodka. So anyway, I think when we're done, we're going to have to use this bottle. Just stick any kind of candy from the store in there that we like. Nothing with licorice, though. And then just stew it in vodka for a couple of days and see how it tastes. Because it kind of tastes like alcoholic gummy bear.
Yeah, but I'm not sure that. Well, maybe.
And I'm using my good shot glasses, too.
Sounds like an experiment you should probably do in small scale before we sacrifice a whole bottle of vodka on it.
No, we're doing it. Okay. So I'm going to show you how to do this stitch while Karl gets slowly more and more Belgian. I'm going the finish route with the vodka and the Polvijärvi stitch. Okay, so let me see if I put this down. Oops, close up of my nose. Remember, you have a microphone. Oh, look at the crap on my table. That's too much stuff, but oh well. Okay, so I was cleaning and I found my cutting mat again. I was super happy. I haven't seen that in a while. I only have the small ones. So this stitch is going to be, it's 2 plus, let's see, I can write that one down actually. It's Russian, so RS 1 plus 2 plus 2. So if you kind of add these up, you'll see that equals 5. That means you're using 5 loops on your in your work. So the last 5 loops from the order, on the end of the chain here, let's see, so 1, this loop, 2, this loop, 3, this loop, 4, this loop, and 5. All of these loops we're going to be using. This end one goes on your thumb, and then these two are going to have to switch around each other a bit like we did with the telemark and the dobby. They're all related. But the trick is to find it. I'm using F2 just because this was such thin yarn, but I don't think it matters which connection you use. So there's that. But now I have to find these loops because we're not picking them up on this. We're not picking them up here. We're picking them up here. So if I do my connection there, I have to lift up. There's 1, 2, 3, and then I need one more. 4. There, I found them. So it's easier if you find them first. There's the 4 loops. Boy, this is a really hard to see yarn. Color of the month is pink. I went with mauve. Okay, so I'm going to pick these 2 up, the second and the third one, lift them behind the 4th and the 5th one, scoop up the 4th and the 5th one from behind, then go back and take the 2nd and the 3rd one up. So it's kind of like that on your thing. And then you go under your thumb and under the working thread. So that's how I made it. It's not a telemark. It's a Russian stitch, so they're all kind of worked where you're doing one behind the other like that. But with this one, it's 1 on your thumb, and then the 2. This is the second 2 according to the numbers there, and this is the third 2. So yeah, thin yarn or do not super tighten this sucker. Make a loose gauge if you have to. So lifting the 2nd and the 3rd one up, picking up the 4th and the 5th one from behind, then picking up the 2nd and the 3rd again, and then going under the thumb loop and the working yarn. So another way to do this would be, let's see, this is not an easy stitch, by the way. It's but it is, in a way, it's as hard as just a regular stitch as Dalby, but you have to keep track of more loops, and it's really easy to lose the order because you need to keep them in order too. So another way to do this would be to take your 2nd and 3rd loop. Instead of putting behind, just put it on your finger like that. But this might stretch out your stitch a bit, so if you're going to do it all the time. Then you have your connection. You pick up the 4th and 5th from behind that way. Then pick up the 2nd and 3rd that you had on your finger, and under your thumb, and under the working yarn. You'll have to play this back at a real slow pace to understand it because it's a lot to take in, but it is actually just like Dalby, but you're using more loops. So 2, you can put them on your finger there. Pick up the 4th and the 5th from behind. If you're not sure, check where they pull. There we go. And then scoop those 2 up again. So hopefully you can see this quite well. It's complicated. Yeah, this one is not for the faint of heart. There is probably a reason it took max 3 years to convince us to do this stitch. When I say us, I mean we. Me to do this stitch on on YouTube because it's, and you'll also see that I'm not going to try to make a hat with it. I'm not going to fool myself and think I'm going to finish a hat on this stitch. So I'm going to make a little pouch. The picture that I put online is basically 3 reps. It starts, I think, yeah, here's my end. So actually, this was my start. Then I made a chain, the distance I want, plus a little bit extra for the swing. Then I pick up and go that way, and then that way. So you're working on both sides of the chain. And you don't increase on the sides on this one, because if you want it to go straight up. So this is what the actual stitch looks like. This is where it kind of overlaps each other, and then this is upside down. The inside of the stitch looks like that. You got like a little bit more braiding there. And this will look like this when it's done, but this is Oslo F1. I've been spinning wool this week. So it'll be kind of like that when it grows up. But because your holes are already so big on here, you don't actually need to make loops for the little eyes for the string. You can just poke it straight through, just like that. There is no eyes on this. There aren't any eyes on this one. So you could do the same thing on that when you're doing a pouch. So this will just be a pouch because I'm not going to try to fool myself and think I'm going to make a whole hat in this skinny, skinny yarn in this 5-loop stitch. But we'll be doing this one all month, so we'll have some time to get used to it. Hey, hi! Oh, I see Ruddy's here, and Audrey's here. There's a lot of people here. We're going to say hi, and Anne's here. She's supporting your Belgian habit over there, Karl. Karl looks like he's reading a book to the cat, but he's, you have to see this. He looks like he's reading a book to the kitty cat. He's just playing with his phone. Paint and booze tonight, Karl? Torben is asking.
I don't think there will be any painting today.
You got it right there. You could just do it.
I could, but my hand is swept.
Oh, that's right. Karl went and got himself some tendonitis, I suspect, from overcrafting. So welcome to the club. So this is what I did this week. I found, I was looking for stuff in the other room, and I found a big bag of unspun wool, carded wool. And I had like this big vat of red carded, this big vat of this big big vat of gray carded, and a big vat of blue carded. But I hadn't touched it in probably about 5 years. No, I did not card gray.
I have to say, woman, if I catch you touching a big crate of Greg, we have to talk.
No, I didn't card Greg. No, but anyway, so I had to kind of card it a bit. It's been sitting for so long in a plastic bag. It was okay, but I just still took it and recarded it a bit more. And I love the way the colors turned out. I spun them, and then this is this one I have left. I spun them up, and then I plied them, and then I Nalbound with them. And this is what I got out of these. So this is a really itchy wool, though, so I'm not going to, I didn't want to make anything that was going to go on the skin with it. So I have these little ones here. Nobody wants to drink with Torben. Are you kidding me? Did you see the green drinky drink? Now there's a little less in there. It almost tastes like medicine, but good medicine. Okay. And then this was the way the gray turned up. But the gray, I thought it was kind of boring because, you know, we have sheeps that color. So I added little flecks of blue and green in there to try to make it a bit more colorful. But again, this is kind of, it's really itchy. Well, actually, it's not too bad, but for the faint of heart, it's pretty itchy. So that's just going to be a bunch of pouches. But I had to show the way they turned up. This is Oslo F2, though, by the way. And Raymond will be happy. Last year, I never got around to making an Easter egg. This year, I'm way early, but I have one more egg this size. So I will probably make one more egg. So, and I still have this much red and this much blue left. So I was productive in different ways today, but I love the way the colors turned out on that. So that is what I did. And now the yarn that I'm working with for this super thin stitch, this is it. This thinner yarn. It's actually not, if you're a knitter, you would probably not call this too thin, but for a Nalbinder, it's really thin. 60% alpaca, 30% linen, and that's why it looked a bit, I thought it looked a little bit linen-like in there. And 10% Tusa silk from Plymouth Yarn. This is probably out of date, out of color, and whatever, because this is my mom's stash yarn, some of that I brought back. I have like 5 or 6 of these. Size, American size 5 knitting needle, so this is not as thin as I'd like to think. The color tone is Wild Rose, so pink is the color of the month. And I'm pretty sure this doesn't come as cheap as 20 bucks anymore. I think it's a lot more now. Anyway, so mom's stash is getting used. I could not take one off the wall behind me. I had to pick one off. Let's see if we can turn around. I couldn't take one from the wall behind me because I didn't have any yarn that thin up there. So there we go. Okay, Karl, what did you do today? And why aren't you gonna paint for Torben? You might actually be gaming tomorrow, and you have nothing to no kill team. He's been sending you like
I know
movies of his with like theatrical sound and yeah.
You're aware of this thing, right?
Yeah. So you're asking me to paint it for you?
Well, it's either that or I fight Gry.
Your fingers have always been kind of bony, though.
Yes, but normally I can control them.
The cat. Okay, so I'm catching up on chat.
Every morning this finger is kind of bent backwards, and I have to kind of break it back with my other hand.
Yeah.
And it's a little bit better in the daytime, but every time I close my hand, it goes into the kind of locked position.
Yeah.
I can stretch it out again manually, but it really doesn't want to. I have to kind of use force to do that.
Yeah.
And I feel a snap in my hand when I do it.
Does anybody recognize this? Who wants to be the doctor?
I will find an actual doctor.
No. It's all about the internet. We're internet doctors
I
here.
don't need, no offense to your subscribers, but I don't need crystal viving energy healers.
No. We're talking about Google. Everybody's got Google. Quick, figure this out. Or you have your own pain. You're like,
potentially
I
even
could
worse.
swear you've got carpal tunnel syndrome because that's what I have. So you must have the same thing. Or maybe it's just arthritis. Or maybe it's, I don't know. It's probably a tumor. No?
Syphilis.
Syphilis. It's syphilis. How'd you get that? That was not from me. Okay, you have to say hi to somebody. See, yeah, Lyra's also going on the side of carpal tunnel. Radisby says, nah, you should find a real doctor. Ha! Okay, but I have some more Google homework for you, too. Jay has been catching up. Jay von Altengart, if you haven't seen him, it's... if you don't know who he is, he was in the village about 2 years ago. He couldn't come last year because he also needed to see a doctor for breaking something. But it's D-I-E and then Matker, M-A-T-C-H-E-R, I think is the name of his YouTube channel. Anyway, so he was catching up, and he was trying to make something for his channel, which looked a lot like Karl. And he has to say that his inspiration was cat weasel. Would you like to explain cat weasel? Because somebody else has also accused you. I know if somebody else has done this before, accused you of looking like cat weasel. And the Americans, I don't think I've ever seen this in the United States. I had to look it up. That's how I know who cat weasel is, because you told me this before. And I go and look it up, and I don't know what the hell it is. But look it up. You're in. And then compare it to Karl.
I have a vague memory of this, but I don't remember the details.
No.
Is it some kind of children's TV?
Yeah, it was like a British one or something, though. So but you were telling me that it played here or something. Because you were asking me, why do I not know what cat weasel is? And I don't know who cat weasel is.
I don't know what cat weasel is.
Well, the Germans didn't do. Anyway.
I'm sure this...
I'm looking it up. Cat weasel. I think it might be it's weasel with a Z in there. Cat weasel. It's a British children's fantasy television series starring Geoffrey Bayldon in the title role. He is a magician from the time of the Normans who is cast into the future by magic. With the help of 2 boys, he uses magic in an attempt to return to his own time. First episode date, 1970. So you're slightly younger than Cat Weasel. By like 5 years, yeah.
I was born when he played this in the series, yes.
Okay. And then, there's Cat Weasel in a bathtub. I'm telling you, we have to see this. Okay, let me see. Cat Weasel, look! It's Karl! So you were the inspiration for him here. It's you! Anyway, Mavinley Hilson J. I thought that was fun. Okay, well, I was waiting to tell Karl this all week, by the way.
And Jay is making cat weasel bear now? Or?
No, he made something, this guy that looks like Cat Weasel, actually, an AI drawing anyway, with a beer in his hand, and it's
Oh,
like
yeah,
amber
that
with the amber eyes and everything. It was really cool anyway, and it kind of reminded me of the one we did at Christmas time with the goblin holding the beer. And I said his was better than mine. Anyhow, so let's see. What do they say? Torben says, "I am Weasel," with all capital letters.
Yes.
Can you say that for us? I am Weasel.
I am baboon.
No, I am Weasel.
You're not familiar with the show, apparently.
No, apparently I'm not. No, I have
I
never
think
seen
it
it.
is I are baboon. No, it's I are weasel. I am baboon.
So the guy who didn't know what this was?
It's something else. He is referencing a Cartoon Network
Yeah.
cartoon about a very, very sensible weasel who always hangs around with the dumbest idiot in the universe who happens to be a baboon with a big red butt.
Is this a Norwegian thing?
No.
I'm pretty
It's
sure the Americans
Cartoon
would have
Network.
censored the big red butt.
Nah, not these days.
Not these days, no.
It's 2000s.
I are baboons, says Redisby. They know what you're talking about.
I are baboon. Okay, yeah, that's right.
I have to have something else at the same time because I'll drink that way too fast.
I drank that way too fast. My beer is already gone.
Oh my God. You cannot have any more. 9.5%, my friend. Let's see. That needed an SFW notification. I can't unsee that. Karl in the bathtub. It was actually Cat Weasel. It was not Karl. No naked Karls got in a bathtub for British television that we know of.
I'm normally naked in the bathtub.
Nope, so I'm excited. Jay is coming this summer, by the way. He's going to be staying in the pit house, one of the pit house that was made last year, and he will be making beer in the village. So that will be fun. Can't sell it because it's not legal, but he can brew it, and he can give out tastes to the Viking, maybe, I don't know. Let's see. There says, I'm having a dumb. I know what an F2 connection is, but can someone tell me again? I am 4. Oh, like I'm 4. So F1 means you're connecting to one new loop from the previous row. F2 means you're taking one new loop and one old loop from the previous row, and I can show you that on something slightly bigger. Let's see. Doop. There we go. I still have to finish this hat from last week. Let's see, my needle is somewhere around here. I lost it behind all the yarn. This is what happens when you, oh, there it is. Try to clean up quickly. Okay. So if you have, this was the stitch we were doing last week. I still have to finish it off. I'm decreasing. Okay, there's my thumb loop. This is the loop that I've been in. This is the old loop. This is the new loop that I would be going into next from the previous row. So this is F1, means one new loop from the front. And if you do, well, it's hard to do it this way because this is, it's a plated edge one, as you want to call it. Anyway, so they're slanting the wrong way, but this is F1. And if I went another one from the front, the old one from the front, so that's F2. So F1, F2, F3 would be one more behind there, and F4 would be one more behind there from the previous row. And then if it's B1 or B2, this is B1, one new one from behind. And this is one new, B2 would be one new one and old one from behind like that. So then last month we had F1, B1, so one from the new one from the front and the old one from behind. So front one, back one. So there you go, F1, F2, although your loops would probably be lining up the other way. Yay, she's super happy now. I see, I made Lyra so happy. Are you thinking what I'm thinking? B2, I think, so B1. Pinky in the brain. Are you pondering what I'm pondering?
Pinky and the Brain is the same era of Cartoon Network.
Yeah, but Pinky and the Brain was in my, well, I was probably a teenager at the time when Pinky and the Brain came out.
Yeah.
Remember, I'm 3 years older than you, old
I know,
man.
but still.
My child.
It might be a Norway thing. I associate it with early 2000s, but no, it has existed at least since 97.
That's when I moved to, that's when I moved to Norway. Okay, then I was in my 20s.
Yeah.
I moved to Norway when
It might be older than
I was
that.
25.
This is very Googleable, by the way.
Yeah.
The show was called Animaniacs.
No, but they can Google it. Bananas y pajamas. Oh, that's banana 1 and banana 2. Nikki, that's what Nikki was referring to, though. Bananas y pajamas.
That was horrible.
Bananas. I was way too old for that crap when that came out, just saying.
I think everybody was way too old for that crap, even when they were born.
Maybe not Torben. Torben's kind of Young's younger than you, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah,
but not-
Torben. Albert! Albert could be. Albert's here. He might have been young enough for bananas and pajamas.
I doubt it.
I babysit kids Albert's age. Maybe. He's in his... You're still in your 20s, aren't you? Yeah. Torben says, Pinky in the Brain, my nickname for Osbjorn and Julstein back in the days. And you want to explain on this one? Expand?
Well,
Osbjorn or Julstein?
yes, but I'm really struggling to know who's the brain in that pair. Asbjørn is from the northern part of Norway.
Albert's 26. Yeah, he's old enough for that.
Up in the
my God,
area
you're younger than the
of
people I-
Norway where people curse a lot.
Go down, cat.
But Asbjørn never ever curses. With one exception. I've heard him curse once, and that was spectacular.
So this is not a cartoon series. This is
No,
an
no,
actual person.
This is the actual person.
Okay.
He used to be a security guard in Sogndal. So he came around late at night to check that all the doors and windows are closed. And then he catches us playing role-playing games. And he gets so fascinated that he starts taking his lunch breaks, watching us play. And then he starts playing himself. And all the time I know him, I have seen him drop a whole tray of orcs on the floor and then just gently sit down and pick them up again. Without saying a bad word. But one day we were playing role-playing games. And he is buying a can of coffee. Normally you either get it for free or it costs like 5 kroner. But this time they had a completely new vaktchef who doesn't know the procedures for this.
Vakchef, that's a guy that's guard.
He's in charge of the
In charge of
place.
the guards. Yeah.
So he basically decides that, okay, what we do then is that we calculate how many cups of coffee goes into this can and then we charge him for every cup. So the full can of coffee became like 80 kroner. It's not an enormous amount, but compared to 0 or 5, it is quite a lot. And when Asbjørn got the bill, he cursed. Not a little bit. He cursed continuously for like 5 minutes. Some of this might be over the line when it comes to YouTube. But I'll try to censor it a little bit. This is in Northern Norwegian dialect. But what he was saying was basically, holy fuck, shit, how in the flying fuck is it fucking possible to fucking demand 80 fucking kroner for a fucking can of fucking coffee? Did I buy a fucking little area down in fucking Brazil to grow the fucking coffee and hiring fucking locals to fucking grow the coffee? And it just keeps going and going and going for 5 minutes.
You drank that beer and how fast?
And then when he is done, we try to play role-playing games for like 2 minutes. Then somebody turns to him and says, yeah, it was a horrible shame about that coffee, Asbjørn. And off we go again for another 5 minutes of straight up cursing. And
If Trim is watching, hi, not everybody talks like that.
I'm not a sensitive guy when it comes to cursing, but this was so far the fuck above the line that I was just going...
Not for kids. Not for kids. So anyway, if Trim is watching later, just fast forward that part. Don't use that many bad words.
At least you first are going to use bad words, then just use all of them at once and then stop. Seems to work for us.
Nikki says, fucking hell. Okay, so Redisby's got a good question here. Karin, I mostly see people making mittens, socks, and other small things. Nobody seems to be making sweaters or other big things. Is this your experience as well? And have you seen many big projects?
Marita's dress.
Marita's dress was pretty big. Well, she's also skinny, but still, that was an Audra made a dress.
But it's a full-size dress.
It's a
for
full-size
tall
dress.
Girl,
Yep.
so
Yeah, no, she's at least as tall as me. I think she might be this much taller, actually.
maybe just because she's skinny, but I
Maybe
have
she's
an,
skinnier.
I
I think
have
she's
an idea
almost...
that she is taller than me.
Yeah, but I think it's because she's skinny. Because I was surprised she's not much taller than me than I thought. I think she is actually taller than me, but not by much. So I think it's because she's skinny. But anyway, long dress. Audra made a dress. You have to look that one up. It's up on the Facebook group. And there's this other lady. I think she's from Belgium. I want to say, maybe Holland. She makes a ton of sweaters, and then she's the one that's crazy enough to, because I would never make a sweater in this stitch. There's too many loops. I have made 2, 3, 4, 5 sweaters. One of them was for the blacksmith. The other ones were for my kids. So it looks like a lot of work, but it is a lot of work. But let's just say they didn't get any new sweaters after the age of 12. That was enough. But I was on, actually, it's not as bad as you think. I think when my kid was 10, I made one. No, maybe she was 8 or 10. I don't know. But there's pictures of it on there. It's the one where my kid has it's a blue sweater with a hood that goes up over her face, because it was basically showing what the tube looks like before you cut it to turn it into a hoodie. And it's the one that's in the picture on my Instagram, at the very first picture on my Instagram. And if you're following me on Blue Sky, I've pinned that photo, so that you can see what it is, because she's basically all null bound. She also has a null bound pair of pants. I don't know if anybody's all... Nella, do you remember if anybody else has null bound pants, or is it just me? I want to say somebody else tried it, because, or no, somebody made shorts. But I wanted to say, when you make pants, at least you got to compensate for the badonkadonk in the back. So you need to add more rows on the back side than you do on the front, just so you know. No, but anyway, so in that picture, she's wearing a null bound sweater with a hood on it, null bound pants, null bound socks, and for some stupid reason we forgot to put mittens on her and a hat when we took the picture. But anyway, she's quite cute, and she's sitting in the window in the Viking chat. What did you do to your microphone?
I took it off because I'm sneaking out for the cigarette.
Oh yeah, you just kind of slapped it. Okay. Anyway, but yeah, that sweater, actually, for some reason, I must have been on a mission from God. It took me about 1 week to make it. Then I made her sister a sweater, and that took me, no, the blue one took me a month, and I made her sister a hooded sweater that was brown with some green and blue stripes in it. That one took me about a week. But it was also stitched. The yarn I used on the blue one is, I forget what it's called, but it was about the same thickness as the one I used on the brown sweater, which was Sparsharp's version of Free Teeds yarn. I forget what that's called. It's going to hit me. Anyway, it's about this thick, that yarn, but it was 2-ply. So the blue one was actually 1-ply, but the brown one is actually 2-ply yarn. Cortina, that was the name of the yarn. Sparsharp yarn Cortina, with a C. So it was kind of a cheap yarn anyway, but it was 100% wool, and it worked up quite quickly. But one thing you want to keep in mind, now this is a good thing because I wasn't making it for me. That would be, even in my skinnier days, that's a lot of work. But let's see, where do I have here? Okay, so pretend this is the body of a sweater before it starts going in. So if this is the body of your sweater, when you're casting onto this, you're going to have to cast on at least a full fist, if not a stretched out hand, wider than you think, because not only does it shrink over the first 3 rows, and you have a lot of stitches that are going to be shrinking over the next 3 rows, but also it has a lot of weight to it, your sweater. When it is done, you've got maybe a kilo worth of wool in there, and it's going to stretch lengthwise a little bit. But you can see when I stretch this, the sides go in a bit. That's the exact same that happens with the sweater. So people were making them, and they're trying on the whole time, and they can't figure out, it's all done, and all of a sudden it's too tight. And they thought, crap, did I gain weight? But no, that means everybody who's ever null bound a sweater has gained weight then apparently before it got done. That's not what happened. It's literally the weight of it is pulling it. But it also, when you're thinking a mitten, you have to make a mitten like maybe this much bigger, or a hat this much bigger, to compensate for the loss of stitches. With a sweater, that's a lot more stitches. So yeah, you want like an outstretched hand somewhere around there. There we go. At least. And if it does end up too tight, in the end, you don't want to waste all the work, but it's not a complete dead loss thing. You can cut it. You can actually just straight out cut it. I like to kind of do some stitching along each side before cutting it, and then cutting it, and then you can null bind a plaque and sew it on to it afterwards, or you could null bind it directly on, but it will go wavy. So if you null bind a band first and then put it on, it'll work. But then you can turn it into a cardigan, and all is saved. But because there are so many fit issues with sweaters, that's why a lot of people don't make them. Another one is the way they decrease and increase isn't quite as fast or as slow as, I think it's slower than knit and crochet. Their stitches have a slant to it, so if you're decreasing for a raglan, your decreases won't be perfect lines. You'd have to adjust one side constantly. It might be like that, the way they switch. It's easier for me if I make a sweater from the bottom up. You make it basically until it goes to your armpits, and then you make a long chain that goes here and here, just as if you were to, and make the chain go straight up and down. because this will also shrink over time. And then you can bind on the neck, the yoke in the neck, and then you can bind on the sleeves afterwards. And basically this line will switch down to, it'll fall down to about here, but it'll fit right. The first time I tried to make a sweater, I think I must have restarted it 3 or 4 times because I wanted to start neck down, just like I would with the. You got another beer? You got a healthier beer of 4.5%, 4.7. You're having one of the Brimlow beers.
Yep.
Yeah, 4.7. He's on the shallow side of the pool, but the deep end is already in you. That sounded bad. Anyway, so I was trying to make one neck down, but then I know the problem I was having when I was trying to make it neck down is the armholes don't start exactly where you think they do, at the way it would fall. So I thought I was starting the armholes at the right spot, but then when I got a few more rows in, I found out the armholes were down here. It actually started down here, so it was kind of hard to move your arm. So to make it easier, start bottom up. I do have enough yarn. I could definitely try to make a sweater at some point, but the thing is also then, we were talking about making you one at one point. I made the blacksmith one. I used all my old plant. I had some plant dyed yarn of this color. So every time I had to add a skein, I added a new color. That took a pandemic and a couple of years. I think maybe it took 2 years to finish that one. But mostly because 1, it was through the pandemic, and 2, I did not trust that thing until I could try it on him. With my kids, I could try it on them constantly and check and see how it fit. But yeah, so anyway, that's why you probably don't see too many sweaters.
That's the biggest delay I've ever seen between.
Yeah,
that
no,
and
the YouTube's like really delayed, and I don't know if it's because.
I just sat down.
Yeah, no, it's been delaying like this for a while. How drunk did you think you were?
She hasn't discovered that I have a bear yet.
On
No,
the
she-
computer.
no, she
No, now
discovers
I've
it.
discovered you have a beer. Well, anyway, I could reload it, but I need the chat on here. So that's one of these days we could probably do it, but I know as soon as the closer we get to summer, the harder it's going to be to finish things. But that you might be a good one to make a sweater for because you're so damn skinny. It wouldn't.
Yeah, but
It would be like knitting for my 12-year-old, only longer.
I want it not that much longer.
Nalbinding.
Alex is pretty tall now.
Yeah, now
But,
she's taller, but she wasn't when she was 7, 8.
No. They grow.
The first sweaters I made them, they were 5. But anyway, so another one was ponchos. Ponchos or a hood. So a poncho would be the same as making a hood. You just keep going. But the problem is with the hood, when you're making, I mean, not a hood, but a cowl. When you make a cowl, you want it to go straight out, so it makes like a flat circle. But when you get to your shoulders, then you don't need to increase anymore. But you will need to start increasing when you get here again. Otherwise, you will be kind of stuck. But that can take some. Oh, kitty snuggles, they said. Let's see. Okay, I'm going to go back up a ways because I see some things are starting to repeat. Actually, we can get the sweater tuck out of the way here just before, because I see there's a lot of chat going. And yeah, Nella's a good one to have in chat because she knows her stuff when it comes to needle binding too. So let's see what she has to say. So Max, Polvijärvi. We did it. Okay. Where was let me see where the sweaters question came in for a minute. There. Cow and chicken was the latest reference. That was with the Weasel and IR Bamboo. I am Weasel and IR Bamboo.
Yeah, it's the same drawing
This is
style.
Nikki. Yeah, Anne also points out blankets, sweaters, hoods, shawls. Those are also really big things. It's just more time consuming. So null binding is great for the smaller things, but I would have not this stitch maybe because I kept trying to do it differently. But in the Oslo stitch fat yarn, I would have no problem making sweaters with that. Just time. And the constant need to try it on the person who's going to get it. So ask the blacksmith how many times he had to try on that damn sweater before he finished it. And then he's like, I wanted to have a zip-up collar, so the collar goes, or the neck goes up to here on him. And then he wanted thumb holes in his sleeves, so the sleeves go out to here on him. And then he wanted it long with a split on the side, so it goes down mid-calf. So when I got him to take a picture, he's like, I want the sweater now. So he never got the zipper put in because he could still squeeze his head through it. He rolls his sleeves up inwards like this, and then he also rolls the bottom of the sweater upwards like that as well. And he does wear it. He does wear it in the Viking village. That's absolutely one of the most misplaced objects in the Viking village. But he does wear it under his tunic in the winter to keep warm, so that you can't actually see that there's an all-binding tunic. But maybe if something pokes out, don't go there. If something pokes out, they might just think he's wearing a null-bound cow or a null-bound wrist warmer, for example. So that's how he gets to wear his. Let's see. In North Atlantic, says Nella, tradition, the sweaters haven't been a thing until modern times. Given how big a project a sweater is and unraveling is, it would be a big risk to take. Definitely. I have ripped apart old sweaters and things and made new yarn from it and new things from it, but you could try doing that with null binding. By the way, Nella, how old would you date a shawl? Because that I could think would probably be the oldest. I would assume a shawl would be the oldest null bounding big object. And then how old would that be? I would think blankets would come later. I'm guessing now. Because shawls were kind of more popular back in the day, so maybe. Nikki says, I'm making a massive blanket. I am dying because I'm bored. I think bigger items are faster to make using knitted or crochet. Null binding takes forever. Yes, it does. Once you get in your groove, though, with the fat yarn, it goes really well. I was going to say, Kiwi had a blanket, temperature blanket that she was doing. No, mood. Sorry, a mood blanket, and there was a lot of people that were trying to do that. Some made mood. I think it was Arlene made a mood sweater instead that she was working on, and those are kind of fun to see to do. There is a null binding group called Null Binding Sweater Stitch Along. Go and check that out, and you can see a lot of pictures of things that have been done in there. I have a Pinterest collection. If you go on Pinterest, I think it's Karin Bium, with Karin with an I, Bium. And you can see there's a null binding section on there, and it's all split into different pieces. So there's one that's sweaters and shawl, I think sweaters and hoods or something, and then there's one for shawls, one for mittens, one for hats, tricks and techniques, that kind of thing. But then that would be pretty much every sweater I ever came across on the internet is pinned there. The sweater group is on Facebook, yeah. It's, I think it's called Sweater Stitch Along. I can look it up real quick. Hopefully this won't delay me any further, but it's a new month, so my data should be good. Null binding sweater. Yeah, null binding stitch along sweater is what the group is called. Maria Lind Hale created it. Okay, but yeah, you can put a lot of questions in there, but you can also just kind of zip through and see what other people did as well. You will also see the one I made of my kid in there where before the hood was cut up and such. Oh, and the dilly bags are in there too. Nella probably will have that one described pretty well.
You will see how you made your kid in there?
You see how I made my kid? No, the blue sweater that my kid is in there. Sorry. Okay, nothing prevents you from making a sweater. You don't need to, says Nella, you don't need to think some structure. You need to think some structure things, but it can be done. Yeah, absolutely. Just be prepared that the weight of the object will cause it to stretch thinner than you think. So you want to make it extra wide and roomy just in case. You can always sew it up on the sides if it gets too big, but I don't think so. It's usually much, much smaller than you think. PJ's made a couple of sweaters, Null bound a couple of sweaters and says they're really warm. Anne says, you drank that way too fast. Yeah, you did the first one. Yeah, I know. Now he's slowing down a little bit. He's only had half of his glass, and he still has half the other beer left.
Yeah. I have a cat on my lap,
still working
so I
on
can't really do anything about it.
That's good. The cat is trying to tell you something.
Yeah, because this cat would tell me not to drink, you think?
Okay.
This cat would get drunk with me if he had a chance.
Heidi makes skirts. Yeah, there was one who made skirts on there too, I saw. Have you seen In Bruges? And I think they swear in every sentence. In Bruges.
In Bruges?
In Bruges. B-R-U-G-E-S. Anne's pointing this one. We're going to tag that one for the future here. In Bruges.
Is that a place or?
Well, she said, have you seen, quote, In Bruges? So yep, it's a film, 2008. So we will look up that one later. Oh, this looks fun. Is that? It's Colin Farrell. We're watching it. He's so cute. Okay. And then?
It's a thing. In Norway, it's mostly north of the polar circle. And in Sweden, it's everywhere.
Yeah.
They use what I would call descriptive curse words. So instead of saying very, they say fucking. So it's not very hot, it's fucking hot.
Yeah.
It's not very good, it's fucking good. That sort of thing.
What was the name of that Finnish comedian that's in the United States learning that English is harder than he thought? Also because there's fucking is a different version of very. It's like very, very. So it could be hot, it could be very hot, or it could be fucking hot. What is the name of that guy?
I don't remember, but
Oh, he's
pretty
awesome
funny.
anyway. There's shorts all over YouTube by him anyway. I think, let's see, Nikki says, I think that descriptive swearing is worldwide. Oh, yeah, definitely. But the way he
Yeah,
tells it is just so cute.
but the difference is that when we use it down here, south of the polar circle, we know that we are cursing. Up there, the, actually, this is kind of funny because Norwegian law is, well, it's kind of funny on the face of it. But if you call a police officer a hestkuk,
It means a
down here,
horse's cock.
that would be considered insulting a public official, and you could actually be punished for it.
How do you know this?
Just double check me if you don't believe me.
I know, I'm just saying, are you speaking from experience?
No, I'm not
No.
that dumb. If I'm going to do something criminal, it should be something criminal that benefits me.
Oh, okay.
But if you do it north of the polar circle, it's
Yeah.
considered day-to-day speech.
Ah.
So it's not punishable. Because if somebody does something you don't like north of the polar circle, you will immediately call him a hestkuk. You just can't do that south of the polar circle because it's not normal speech.
What
So
if
it
you
would
called
be-
him a fucking hestekuk?
I think that would work fine north of the polar circle.
Oh, okay.
But you shouldn't. We have more limitations on free speech than you have, for instance, in America.
Yeah.
In America, you can call a police officer a horse's dick all you like. It's not considered polite, and it's probably not a good idea because this guy can really, really mess you up if he feels like it. But it's legal. In Norway, it would be insulting a public official, and that is actually criminal.
Anna Taylor is back, by the way. She says, I can finally watch you guys live again. She's from Central Arizona.
Yep.
So spring is here, by the way. First day of spring. Is that what Audra said? Let's see. So that's probably, Anna's probably experiencing our summer by now. Susan Youngman is here back from Adirondacks, back in Adirondacks. Actually, she's been there for a little while now. Calling for snow. She's made a sweater. Oh, that's right. Yeah, she made a sweater too. Shawls wrapped and a vest. She's a productive one. And you're not afraid of the big projects.
We've had a lot of Australian tourists in the village lately. They're perfectly happy being in Norway in -2 to 5 degrees because it's plus 38 or whatever where I am from.
Ah, by the way, Nikki asked last month's stitch. That was the O/UU.
one.
Yeah, the unnamed one. I did actually make a little short as to how to do that. We'll get into that in a minute. So you can either go through the whole video or you can just watch the quick short. She wants to know if she can cut that one without unraveling it, and I think I would think that would be okay. I would still stitch, like if you were going to cut here, I would stitch on each side of it first, just to be sure, because it might unravel a little bit, but it's not going to just like a sweater. That would be because it is actually knotted into each other, not this. It's this.
Oh, that screen is so distracting.
I know that
see
it goes so far
myself
behind.
Like 3 minutes ago.
I know, I'm working with a completely different yarn over there. I haven't even wrapped up my pink yarn yet in this one.
But I think they see it more quickly because...
No, they do, because they're reacting faster.
Yeah, when they said
Or at least
cat
by the time they
snuggles,
catch.
the cat hadn't even jumped on my lap on that screen.
Yeah, no.
So
I think it's just because I reloaded my page or something and then it went there. See, now I'm wrapping up my yarn.
might be similar problem to the problem my father had with his TV.
Audra says, yeah, the first sweater she ever made was too small as well, and so she sold it, which is always a good way to do that. That's why I used my kids as a test subject. Actually, I could say there was another sweater I made. The very first sweater I made is still on Ravelry, and I believe it's on Pinterest, and it has only one arm on it, and this is quite intentionally. I made a little doll-sized one, or one for the American Girl doll with dollar and a stitch, and I wanted to try I wanted to test out the Norwegian steeking. A lot of Norwegian sweaters are made with steeking, so they will, if they want a cardigan, they'll cut open the front, but if they want armholes, they can also cut it from there to there, and then sew the shoulders together, and then put the arm in there. So I tried it that way first as to test, and it works. So you can do that too if you want to, but it's much easier to just when you're doing it, if you make a tube that goes up to here,
Boy.
do a shoulder, like make like a big chain shoulder strap that goes from there and up. It looks like it'll be too big, but that shoulder strap is going to fall down here while you're doing it, and you're going to need that much space for an armhole because that also will get a little smaller when you're working on it. You can see some pictures of that in that sweater group, by the way. So there's a lot of really good chat in here. There was sorry, but what is a dilly bag? Said Nikki. She's got to brush up on her Aboriginal. And then Nella answers, dilly bag is both practical carrier and, depending on the culture, can be used as a symbolic item as well. Are those only null-bound, Nella, or can they be sprung as well? I'm just curious. No, I've asked Nella a couple questions, and she might have them in here somewhere. I think my chat is delayed on here as well. Okay, so anyway, before I forget, because now we're hitting the end of our hour and we're really horrible at hours, I have a niece. I do. Actually, this one's through my ex. She is pregnant. She's going to have a boy, and she needs help finding boy Viking names. And she said you can't use like the normal ones like Tor. She wants something a little bit different, not the one everybody has. And it's very important that you don't use names that can be misunderstood in English, like Odd or Seaman. And I said, so you don't want to call him Odd Seaman? Okay, Seaman is the way they pronounce Simon. But,
No.
and then
We
Odd is
also-
actually the name, ODD.
We also have Simon in Norwegian.
You have Simon and Simen, but yeah.
Simon is.
But we say Simon.
Different.
Yeah, so you don't want to use Odd and you don't want to Seaman, and you can't put them together and make Odd Seaman either.
Jostein, we just talked about the other half of Pinky and the Brain with Asbjørn.
Yeah.
His last name is actually Odd.
Yeah.
And he is very.
Odd?
Yeah.
No, so we need
That
some
guy would
we
actually
need some
be
Viking
entertaining
names.
to have on YouTube one of these days if he has the time. He doesn't live that far from here, so
Yep.
could
Okay.
be possible.
So what are some Viking names? Well, we have Balder, but that one's also kind of fairly.
It's a mythological name.
Yeah, that one's used in Norway. I had a couple of students named
Yes,
Balder.
you have kids nowadays called Balder.
Yeah, this
But
was.
did you have any kids in the Viking age called Balder?
I don't know.
doubt
Balder
it.
was very beautiful.
It's like
Okay, go ahead.
some names are names, but
Keep
you don't
writing them in the chat. I need them.
actually use them on living people if you can avoid it.
Yeah.
So, for instance, there are people called Thor and different connotations of Thor, like Thorfinn type names in the Viking Age. But correct me if
good
I'm
ones.
wrong here, but I don't remember any Odins or Balders or Tyrs.
Yeah. Well, Tyr, yeah, because that one exists now too. Tyr and Tyr.
Yes, but now is now. And now they take names both from mythology and history and ancestors.
What about Njord? I don't know any kid named Njord anyway, but
That,
it's a Viking god if
but
you want to go
obviously
that long.
you could call a kid Njord nowadays, but I don't think anybody would do it in the Viking Age.
I think if she called the kid Ragnar, we might have to kill her.
Because, why? It's a completely normal name.
It is, but nobody can think of that name now without associating with the Vikings TV series. As a matter of fact, it wouldn't be surprised if there was an upswing in that name.
You could associate it with Ragnar Thorseth instead, if you
Okay.
like. He's a guy from Måløy who built a Viking ship and sailed to America and then sunk his ship in Gibraltar.
Well, there's some good ones coming in chat. Bjorn is a good one. I like that one too, but that one's very common in Norway. Askir. Yeah, Ask would be a good one. I haven't heard that one too much. It's not my decision, it's hers, but we need some more. I told her I would collect them. Alf Valder, Alf Kjetil. Alf Ketil, not Kjetil. Ali. That's what PJ comes up with. Garcia's got Birger and Halfdan. That'd be a good one. Birger and Halfdan are they're used today, but not too many. Harald, that one could be good. That one was in the United States, Harold would have been the name of my parents' generation. But over here it's much different. Eriksson. Havader. Håvard. Would that be a Viking name? Håvard was. I had a couple of Håvards in the school when I
I
worked there.
believe so, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's like Havard, but with an
but,
A over the first, a circle over the first A.
Just open a random saga at a random page and you will find the name.
Yeah, but it's so much easier to make them come up with it for us. Let's see, there's some more. PJ's got lots there. PJ's the one that needed a name for the dragon, by the way, once upon a time, which everybody helped name, so that was quite cool. Arnbjorn, I should actually have you pronounce these. Armbrander. No, don't let him scratch that couch. He will big trouble.
He won't. He's a good boy.
Albert says he and his partner are thinking of naming our son Storm. Are you pregnant, Albert? More or less. Is she pregnant? That would be no, but Storm not yet, but they might be planning. I don't know. I had the name Alex picked out for my kid long before I was even with somebody that could give me a kid, and then it took a long time to create the kids. And then I ended up with twins and had to come up with another name. Let's see. Arnbjorn, Armbrander, Armgrimir, Arngeir, Arnulf. Oh, Arnulf. That's another one. I don't think I only know one Arnulf. Dufa. That one I don't know. PJ's going through the whole name book. Keep going, keep going. We're having fun reading him, if anyway. Drogmal, Farulfir. We'll have to see, actually, by the way he reacts to it, if it's a good Viking name or not, too. Because you're the Norwegian, I wouldn't know a damn thing about Viking names.
No, but...
Fastulfur, Feigir, Fighter. No, can't have that one. That means the fat one. Oh, no, they're just thinking of names. Okay, Albert's not pregnant yet. Everyone calm down. No time to start making booties.
You know the logic from the country song, A Boy Named Sue?
Yes, I love that one. Johnny Cash.
And I've done research on it. Feminine names are more common among Navy SEALs than masculine names.
Yeah.
So you don't find Bruce or Butch. You find names like Alice.
Oh, yeah.
And Marion. Because I feel that I have something to prove.
I think both Alice and Marion were on Happy
So
Days.
don't name your kid. If you want your kid to be a fighter, don't name him after the god of war. Name him Daffodil or something like that.
What was it?
Because Daffodil certainly has to put up his fists a couple of times in kindergarten just to get through the day.
And I said, my name is Sue. How do you do? That's a really good song. If you haven't heard it anyway, look it up. It's Johnny Cash, I believe. Boy named Sue. Well, there's like Galban, Gamal. Sigurd. Yeah, that's a good one. Sigurd's a good one. That one's fairly common, though. I have actually a kind of a nephew named Sigurd. No, cousin. Anyway, my ex's family's got a lot of the... Froda. We have a Froda. Gunnar. Galmar Fugl. It's in like bird. F-U-G-L. Pronounce that for me. Fugl. Yeah. You're probably covering your microphone.
Froda in Old Norse means... I think the cat did it.
Oh.
It means something like wise.
Yeah.
So in the Havamal, there is a few verses about Odin getting really drunk and trying to pick up a girl. It's kind of funny because most of Havamal is advice. And then you have this weird story in the middle of it. With Odin getting really, really drunk when he's visiting Den Frode Fjallar. So the wise guy called Fjallar.
Yeah, Fjallar, yeah.
So Fjallar, according to Fjallar, means mountain warrior.
We have one in the village. A Fjallar. Varga, Gunnar, Fenrir, Shalva. Say Shalva, T-J-A-L-V-E. Am I saying that right?
Chalva.
Shalva. Okay. Gylfi, Haffer, Haddi.
A mythological name, but it's a name of a human in mythology.
Knut, Ragnar, Ratner, Sigtrygger. Is that how you said it? Sigtrygger?
Yeah.
Yeah? I'm having fun looking at these. Greifi, Grimmer, Goofubein. Goofubein. That sounds fun. I don't think she's going to go for that one, though. It sounds like he has a goofy leg. Goofubein?
Yeah, and you have to keep in mind that the Vikings both have normal names and then they have given names.
Okay, explain.
So, Saint Olav was in his lifetime. He was his original correct name is Olav Haraldsson, Olav son of Harald. But then he got fat, so his name became Olav Digre, Olav the Big. Some people think that he was big and strong, but most people think he was just round and chubby. And then he dies defending Christianity against other Christians for some reason. And becomes a saint, and now is Saint Olav, or Olav den Hellige, Olav the Holy. So you get names kind of based on what you do, and it has to be something. Well, there is no logic to it, to be completely honest. Just to go through 4 of the first kings of Norway. Harald the Fine Hair didn't cut his hair or comb it for somewhere between 9 and 20 years.
God.
Looked like a Yeti. And then he has a haircut where he has an actual jarl cut his hair and comb it. And it turns out his hair was pretty good looking. So Harald Fine Hair, done. Next king of Norway, Erik Bloodaxe. Erik Bloodaxe is either, and I believe this is to be wrong, called Erik Bloodaxe because he killed an enormous amount of Finnish, Baltic, French, and other foreigners. But much more likely he's called Erik Bloodaxe because he actually killed 2 of his own brothers, which is something the Vikings wouldn't like, and I would give him a bad name for it.
Yeah.
Then you have the next one, Håkon the Good. He lived for 40 years. He's king of Norway for maybe 15 of those years. And he's generally a nice guy. For a Viking king, mind you. He would be considered a
See you, Torben.
psychopath in our days, but that's our days.
Yeah.
So all of these 4 really had to work for their name. Then we get to the 5th. Harald Greycloak. Harald Greycloak is one of the sons of Gunhild, Mother of Kings. He's hanging around Oslo, and he has been fighting a civil war against Håkon the Good for a long time, so everything in Norway is kind of fucked up, to put it mildly. So a ship from Iceland with, what's it called, the Fike type of fur, the one that Christian makes.
Varfell.
Yeah.
Yeah, Varafell, I think.
Is coming into Oslo, and it was supposed to be there in the middle of the winter, when there was actually a demand for this product. But they show up in the middle of the summer. And Harald really loves Icelandic people because they have the best poets and the best stories. So when he sees an Icelandic ship, he just can't help himself. He goes down to the harbor and starts talking to them. But when you are a trader and the king comes and starts talking to you, you can't really do anything else. So you're kind of stuck there. You can't unload your ship, you can't go ashore, you can't do anything. You just have to talk to the king. And he's not a complete idiot, so he understands that too. So he decides to just buy one of these fake furs to throw over his shoulders, just to have an excuse to stand there and talk to them.
Mm.
But other people see the king on a hot day in the middle of the summer in Oslo throw his skin over his shoulders. And they basically go, huh? What is this? Why is the king wearing a fur around his shoulders in the middle of the summer? We don't know, but he's king, so it's probably a good idea. So they go and buy a lot of furs too. So Harald Greycloak was Norway's first trendsetter, and he gets his name because of an impulse decision to buy a skin and throw it over his shoulders. Names like that. That's how names work in the Viking.
Okay, so that's how Jannika's going to have a kid here.
Keep an eye on the kid. Give him a simple first name. Call him Harald or Gunnar or whatever.
Yeah.
And whenever he does something spectacular, you give him another name.
There's some more here.
And
Some of these are new to
there is
me.
no reason you can't change this other name if he does something more spectacular. So maybe that will motivate him to go from being Gunnar Poopy Diaper to Gunnar walks by himself.
Then we got Ivar, Jukki, Ingulfur, Hunni, Hundrufter, Emra. I like that one. Albert has Emra. That one actually, my kids have a couple of Emras in their classes over the years. He says, I don't know how old that name is, but I know someone with that name. Yeah.
Atle is
a good one, yeah.
Viking name. Because the Vikings kind of got it from somewhere else.
Yeah.
Atle in the
I went to work with.
the
I used to work with
sagas
an Atle.
is Attila.
2 of them.
The Hun.
Yeah.
The Vikings know about him because the Huns used Germanic mercenaries, and the Germanic people, we don't know what Attila was actually
Germanic, yeah.
called by the Huns.
Yeah.
Attila is the name that the Germanic people gave him, and the Norwegian version of that is Atle. And the Vikings think he is super cool. So it's like, yeah, no, he burnt down most of Europe. That's what we are trying to do.
Okay, so he's got to have the name Atle. Jannika, There's some more. Ivar, let's see, I did that one. Jukkel, Juriker, I'm probably killing these. Karl with a K.
Maybe. It's not
If it's Karl with a C, he's gone Swedish.
even Karl with
royalty.
the K is not actually a name in the Viking Age because it means something like free man.
Yeah, but don't all the names mean something kind of?
Yes, but it's like if you had a guy living nowadays whose name was arbeidsledig.
Which means unemployed.
Yeah, you wouldn't do that because it's meaningless.
Do not name the kid arbeidsledig.
It's used as a name, as far as I know, and I've checked it a little bit because it's my name, but not a lot. So there might be some examples of it. I just haven't found them.
Yeah.
But the only time I know the name Karl used as a name is when Odin is walking around among normal people and he is trying to be devious and somebody asks him who he is, he says Karl. But I think what he is actually saying is not my name is Karl. He's saying I'm just a dude, leave me alone.
Just a dude. There's more curling. This is a big book, says PJ. Oh no, you're doing great.
Curling?
Curling with a K, yeah. Carling? Carling? How would you say that? Kerling.
Maybe.
Carling? Ah, it could be Carling, yeah.
I think Carling is a descendant of Charlemagne.
Well, then you got the beer called Carling, which is Danish with the C, but then it's spelled more. No?
Danish are weirdly enamored with
Would could
Charlemagne.
Carling with a K-E-R, would that be like another version of it?
With the K, yes.
Yeah, K-E-R, so see, that might not be so foreign, the name. The Danish just changed it for themselves, but the name sounds, anyway, okay. Ketilbjorn, that's actually two names in one. Kalakker, and then comes Torbjörn with Torun Gaular. Go ahead. Well, Torun is his kid.
Torin yells curse words.
Yes. The curse yeller. Knuter, Kolli, Kolbein, Kolbrander, Kolbrun, Kosti, Kracker. Kracker, that one's a fun one. What would that mean?
I don't know, a stool.
Yeah, that'd be a crack with an R on the end.
Also, you have names of objects that are also names of people in the Viking Age, like Geir and Odd.
Bjorn.
And if you combine them to something like Geir Odd or Oddgeir, because Odd means tip and or point.
PJ's only a K and L. Come on, PJ, you can do it.
And Geir means spare.
We haven't even gotten onto the YouTube
if
conversation
you
yet.
call your kid Geir Odd, that would mean spare point.
Okay. So that would be like the Ketilbjorn or Ketilgrimmer.
Grimmy means ugly.
Okay, so we don't want that one.
Yeah, you might.
Don't curse the kid before it's born.
You could call it, well, Skallagrim would mean bald and ugly.
And there was Egil Skallagrimsson,
Yeah,
the
he's
son of the bald and ugly guy.
Yeah, but he was not particularly pretty himself. He was just an enormously good poet.
No, so his
and
name.
serial killer.
Yeah, so they gave him the name Egil instead of Skallagrim. Let's see. Oh, PJ says, Nikki, it's a big book, and a lot of the pages are joined together. Laun? Is that Launn? Laun? Launn? There. Laun? How would you say that one?
Laun, yes.
Yeah?
I'm not familiar with
I'm not familiar with that one name either. The quest is for Reddit. Yeah, it is a Reddit quest. I'm having fun looking at the names though. Leifur, Leifus, Leofkoller. And of course, this is the American pronouncing him. Leifus sounds cute. Yeah, Leifus sounds cute. It almost sounds like lice on life. But
Leifus sounds like a Latinification of life.
Loose is lice, but
Because if you end it with US, it's Roman
Oscar,
or Latin
yeah.
man's name. Like Gaius, Marius, Julius.
Yeah.
I don't think there are any exceptions to that when it comes to first names. Every Roman first name ends in US.
Yeah. By the way, Jan Harald, he's been on here every once in a while, but just kind of popping through. He also has a Varnafell on him. He and Rosemarie had their baby. Her name is Embla.
Mm.
Yeah, it made me think of that when I saw Oscar, which is another way of Oscar.
Mythological, but also a human
Yeah.
in mythology.
Asko
So
Embla. Yeah, do you want to tell that one real quick?
quickly summarized,
Av Asko Embla. Ask is a boy's name and Embla is a girl's name, but
Odin
also...
and his brothers find sticks of driftwood on the beach.
Mm.
And they create the first humans from these two pieces of wood. Ask og alm, ash tree and elm tree.
Ash and elm, yeah.
So
Was Ask og
the
Embla.
man is the ash tree and the woman is the elm tree.
Elm, yeah.
So Ask and Embla are the
Ask and
first
Embla.
two humans in Norse mythology. And they start out as sticks as wood, and then Odin and his brothers, I don't remember exactly who gives them what, but they give them different things. One gives them breath of life, and one gives them mind and feelings, and one gives them something else. Probably not purpose.
Mm. Oh, there you are leaning into the screen, by the way. It's so delayed. Magnus is a good one. Magni. I bet those names mean something like Lord, says PJ. Is that correct? What do you think? Magnus is a fairly common name over here.
It is, but I believe it's from Latin.
Maybe.
Because Magnus means the great.
Yeah.
So Romans who really impress their current Senate occasionally gets the it's more of a title than a name, but they get the title Magnus associated with their name.
Mm.
So Pompey the Great, when he presents himself, when he is talking to other Romans and he tells them who he is, he would say that I am Pompeius Magnus.
Mm.
Pompeius the Great. It's a very common name in Norway. Even very old people are called Magnus. But I believe it is from Latin. But it might be a Norse name, but I don't know.
Yeah. Albert also likes the name. Embla is the name they've chosen for their girl names when they get... Embla is a really good name. I like that one. You can even shorten it and say M. Then there was Maki. That sounds like sushi. Maur. This one I had to kind of think was interesting too. Maur. M-A-U-R-R. Now, if there was only one R, it would mean ant. Maur. But Maur with two R's?
Not
like
familiar
a bug
with the
ant.
name, but it might exist in some saga somewhere.
Yeah. There was another one. Mjuker. Merlisvine. Merlisvine. Okay, Marla I've seen as a girl's name, but Marla and then Svine. Marla Svine. So Svine would be a guy's name. Marla is a girl's name, but Marla Svine?
Swine means apprentice or assistant or helper.
Yeah.
So it
could be Merlin's assistant.
It might be the miller's assistant.
Okay.
It's not entirely correct, but it's the closest I can get with my understanding of.
I like Merlin. Okay. Menning. That one I also thought was kind of interesting because Menning is actually Menninghet. It's people, it's society.
I believe it is a Swedish name.
Yeah? Menning?
Menning or Melling?
No, Menning with an N. Oh, or Melling also. That one was on a
Menning, in direct translation from Norwegian, would mean something like opinion.
Yeah, you Menning and in to give your opinion.
And I don't think you would call your kid opinion.
No, that would probably. That's what I was kind of thinking. That one has a name. So today at least we covered their work. So to say the least, Albert's covered for names. Oh, that's good. Moldy. Okay, now that one might be kind of interesting. But then there is a city in Norway called Molde with an E on the end, but Moldy with an I. Definitely don't want that one to be translated into English. Moldy would be bad.
Yeah, mold in Old Norwegian, not necessarily Old Norse, but Old Norwegian would mean dirt.
Yeah?
So the same word as jord.
Jord, yeah.
Mold is, generally speaking, at least when you're talking to old people,
yeah,
when they are talking about mold, they are talking about fertile earth, farmland.
Yeah.
I would say it's a weird name, but it is possible that somebody had it in the Viking Age.
Yeah. Muki. That one's kind of an interesting one. Looks like muck. Muki. Mula Grimir. Mustarder. The Viking mustard. With ketchup. No, mustarder. It is. It's literally mustard with an R on the end. How would you say that? Mustarder? Or
We start there.
mustarder?
No bells are ringing. I have no idea.
Nafni, Nogli, Egir. Oh, that's a good one, Torben. Egir, name it after the beer god. Oh, that's a good one. That kid's gonna grow up to be an alcoholic.
He's also a sea god who is
Cheers.
actually trying to kill you. So
Hernid.
I'm not entirely sure if I
Murtgud.
understand this aspect of Norse mythology correctly. But the way I'm kind of reading it, the way it is in my mental schema, that may or may not be correct, is that Njord is the good guy. He's the one who actually tries to protect you. While Ægir and his wife are just dicks that are trying to drown you.
In beer.
I might give you beer after I've drowned you, but the primary focus here is to drown you.
And you got Odgeir, Odgrimmer, Odgrimir, Odketil.
Yeah.
These are all
Fair
versions
point.
of Odd. But we found out we can't use the Odd names because if they pronounced it in English, it would be odd, literally. No, so then you'd have Odgeir, Odgrimir, Odketil, Luken. Luken is an interesting one. That one, Max one came up with that one. Odin Karl. So you could be Odin Karl in one. That's a thing. You know, you get like Bobby Sue, Billy Ray, and all that other things in the south of the United States. It's more common in the south than in the north. They do that here. So when I named my kids Alex and Cecilia, I deliberately used my my maiden name anyway as my kid's middle name, because if I didn't, they would give them a double name. So they try to call me Karin Helen. Karin Helene? Who the fuck are you asking for? But Helen is my grandmother's name on my father's side or something. It's just a family name. We don't actually use it.
Double names are very common in Norway.
Yeah, they are.
And I'm very happy that I'm in
the Bible Belt is coming through in Norway.
Everywhere I've been in Norway up until now, I've tried as hard as I can to just be known by my first name. And it's only in Gudvangen I've somewhat succeeded.
Yeah, I've always known you as Karl.
Because
Not Karl Kåre.
everywhere else I've been, I'm Karl for like 1 week, and then somebody calls me Karl Kåre, and I'm Karl Kåre for the rest of the semester.
But it's kind of fun. I mean, when somebody comes in and asks for you in the store, if it's somebody from your past, they'll come up and say, "Is Karl Kåre here?" And we're like, "Who?" Oh, you mean Karl?
No, it's in my family, at least quite a while back. And it's kind of also a little bit odd because my father is not the oldest of his brothers, and I'm not the firstborn of that generation. But I am the only one named after his father. So my father's father was Karl Ordal, just like me. And he was producing wooden boats in Selja. So one of the really cool items I tried to show it off on the YouTube episode that was...
one of the 3 that are no longer
that was
online anymore. One of the numbers that jumped.
YouTube is that I actually have a branding iron with my name on it. So Karl Ordal on a branding iron, because he produced wooden boats and he signed his work by heating up this thing and then just burning it into the side of the boat. So if I decide to become a criminal and play on extreme difficulty, I'll brand people with that thing and see how long it takes the police to find out it's me.
Oh, jeez. We've got some more here. When PJ gets to the end of this alphabet, we're going to celebrate with a little bit of YouTube chat. Ideas here too, but this is kind of interesting though. I like this, so I'm glad that PJ's gonna have tendonitis or carpal tunnel in the fingers. Don't spill the beer down your shirt into the microphone. Okay, so because it's interesting to see these names. Ormketil, which means what? Wormketil. Ketil. Ottar. Kneip. I thought that was the name of a kind of bread. Torben came up with that one. Oh, Torben came up with Snark. Isn't that the name of the character on Norseman? Or Snark.
Orm is used as a name. It means...
Orm is used as a name. It means worm though nowadays.
Yeah, snake.
Orm or snake. Okay.
There is a lot of snakes in Norse mythology. Well, in their iconography, I mean, jewelry and the symbols from the Viking Age, you see a lot of snake shapes.
Yeah.
And it's hard to say if they are thinking of them in the same terms as we are, because we are kind of influenced by the snake in the Garden of Eden,
Yep.
and the Vikings wouldn't have that.
They'd eat it.
Hmm?
Would they eat the snake?
Probably, if you're hungry enough, everything tastes good. But
Screw the apple.
my point is that they might think of snakes as something positive,
Grandparent,
maybe very positive, because the snake changes its skin when it grows. And that might lead the Vikings to think that the bloody things are immortal.
Mm.
So snakes might be a symbol of long life or being healthy. As you probably understand, I'm speculating like crazy right now. So I'm not a source for anything. But I find it interesting, and I think the Vikings' focus on snakes is not because they want to be seen as poisonous or sneaky.
No.
It's because they think of the snake as something very positive. I
It's-
think.
It turns up a lot in art from Viking Age,
Yeah.
whether it be carvings or silver decoration, etc. You'll see them. And then Midgard's serpent, which is Midgard's ormen.
Yeah, he's kind of a dick.
He's eating his own tail.
Yes, but he will also kill Thor at Ragnarok.
Yeah. We
and
watched
cause some other small problems.
Ska vi se, there was some more. Plogsvein, that one I thought. And Plugman. Raffen. Oh dear, am I driving people away? Sorry, no, you're not actually. It's because we've gone over the hour. Stut. Ragnalder. Stut would be, yeah. There's just a few from each page. These are just a few from each page. Wow. Albert says I have a long name, but I have mostly used my first and last name, but the initials spell APHD.
And
A
obviously,
PhD, no.
a lot of these are combinable.
Yeah,
So you could call your kid Stuttgrim.
which means
Short and ugly.
okay. So Stuttgrim is not an option.
Might be. You haven't seen
I
a kid
can't
yet.
have one of those as a family member. Vingmutter says Torben. Go ahead and say it. Vingmutter,
Vingmutter, yes, of course. You could call
which
your
is
kid
a
that.
wingnut, isn't it?
Yep.
A wingnut, like literally a wingnut. Bakrus. Okay, you have to explain that one. What is
You know what Bakrus is.
I know what
Don't tell
Bakrus
me
is,
that
but
you
no,
don't.
but you have to explain it, Mr. Norway. Come on, it's your language. Bakrus. Do not want to call a kid that.
Hangover.
Hey. Hervel. Radisby said, by the way, grandparent, but you're a great grandparent. Was the thing. Radisby says, Manning is Swedish, but I've never seen it with an E. Don't know what it means itself, but the word tremenning, for example, means cousin, except for your common ancestor isn't your... Yeah, so tremenning actually exists in Norwegian as well. It means your second cousin is a tremenning. Well, second, third, fourth, whatever, those are all tremenning. But your first cousin is actually your fetter or cousin, depending on if it's a boy or a girl. Yeah. No, go ahead.
You also have
Correct me.
viermanning, femmanning, sexmanning.
So you do actually say,
We
yeah?
do. But you
Like we
have
say
to
second,
be,
third, fourth cousin?
you have to be like my mother to keep track of this shit.
Oh, your mother was great.
So it boils down to too related to bang, not too related to bang.
Yes, they've got rednecks in Norway too.
So stop counting at tremenning, otherwise you will discover
Okay,
a
so-
lot of bad shit on your family tree.
Torben's a little disappointed with this. Bakrus is not okay, but Vingmutter is fine. Rosketel, Rudy, says Nick. Yeah, there was a Rudy here actually not too long ago in Albert's class, I believe it was. I think Menning is written with one N in sense of opinion, meaning that would translate tre Menning as in the of three persons. This is Nella. I think we spell. Do you spell Menning in Norwegian with one N or two N's?
I don't know.
I can't remember. I have to write it down and then I'll know.
Do I look like the guy who spells?
Here's one PJ wants to know too. Actually, it's a good question. What does Ketil mean? I've seen it in a lot of these names. Ketil is a very common name, and if you have a J between the K and the E, it's Kjetil.
It's also used in the Viking Age, but I do not know the meaning.
Yeah, that one would be an
This
interesting.
is highly Googleable.
This is highly Googleable, yeah. But you're
But,
just supposed to know this stuff because that's what we have the Viking for. No? Okay. Rigger, Ruter, Sandulfur. Garcia's to go, by the way. See you, Garcia. Cellekolder. Yeah. Rudy Lukepus is his name. Says Albert. Bodle. Apparently, Cellekolder means king of the seals. Could that be right?
Sele what?
Cellekolder. Kolder. Kollr.
Don't know that, but it's
But
possible.
sela could also be a harness.
Yeah, but I'm not sure about Old Norse.
Yeah, no, that one I wouldn't know.
Because,
Olaf, of course.
yeah, of
Olaf
course.
and Olafur, yeah. Oh yeah, Georg, for example, has Olafur in his name. Georg Olafur
Yeah,
Reidarsson.
but you also have
And
like
you have Reidar.
a grand total of 4 kings in the Viking Age with that first name.
Yeah, and then it kind of, what's the difference between Olav and Olafur? Also Olav and Olaf. One's with a V and one with an F. Is
I
one
don't
more
know if there is-
royal than the other?
I don't know if there is any practical difference, but the ones on the list of kings have the Olav
Okay.
writing.
I was thinking maybe it was like an old and a new way of spelling it. Sigmundur.
It is entirely possible. So
And
whether
Sigmund in itself is a name.
Olav Tryggvason was Olav or Olaf,
Yeah.
and then it has been translated, it's hard to say.
Ah, okay. I was thinking also because then you got Sigmundur, like PJ writes in there with an, it's just Sigmund with an R on the end.
Yeah.
What would be the difference there? Just
I wouldn't say any
Time?
practical difference. You throw in an R on the end of a lot of words in Old Norse, and then you remove it in Modern Norse. So, as you know, we have our American Viking Haraldr.
Mm-hmm.
That is probably a more correct Viking spelling of Harald than the one we are using.
Yeah. Is that a given name or is that because he has a family from Norwegian Norse? I wasn't sure if that was a given name or one he had just adapted as he.
I don't know. There are so
Aged.
many people with alternative identities in the Viking community that I think most of them might very well be on terrorist watch list.
These are the ones that write their name
But
in runes on
The
Facebook.
point is that Haraldr is probably a more correct Norse term than Harald.
Yeah. Okay. I get it because of the R, and the end. The
But this is more linguistic than
Sigurd and
anything else.
Okay, before you go off, anyway. But as PJ is still writing, she's down on the S's now. We were talking a bit more about YouTube this week because we have to try to do, if we do 3 tiers of membership. And so one thing we could do, no, you sit your ass down. I don't care how much beer you drank and need to pee out.
out for a cigarette. I'm not peeing.
No, but one we were talking about was we could do one that has the emojis and the badges. The badges are balls of yarn, and the emojis are little Karl emojis. And the more members we get, the more we can make. So far, we have 4: Angry Karl, Sleazy Karl, Karl with the beer, and Karl with the money. But another one, we were thinking, what would you do that would be just like because we could always do pre-release of videos. So we've started making some videos this week, little shorts. I did one on the Stitch of the Month for last month. And then I did one of spinning with a drop spindle behind me. You were doing some. What were you doing? You were trying to film your trip.
I made a short in Svelja, but apparently I don't speak normally when I'm wearing civilian clothes. I sound like I have a stroke. And
It's hard to do when it's not live.
I also filmed a little bit when I was traveling with the Express
good.
boat. And that I think can be saved in editing. The other one I don't know.
Yeah.
But it was so windy that I couldn't really speak, so I've just filmed the boat going through some narrow inlets.
Lyra
I'm going
likes.
to have that cigarette.
Okay, go on. Lyra was thinking of. She likes the idea of shorts for the Stitch of the Month. So yeah, it would be a short, which means I cannot slow it down. But you know, I mean, it's a lot of these stitches. It's like recreating the wheel. Just go on now, lock and tot, and you can see a better video. So that we could do. Then I thought we were thinking. Somebody mentioned Q&A earlier, and I'm like, how in the heck do you do that? And I never thought of it like the Instagram Q&A, but apparently you put like a link to. My kid was telling me this. My kids, they're teenagers, so they know way more about this stuff than I do. They were saying that you could make a Google form and just put a link to it, and people could put in there things like questions. Because one thing I find really kind of fun is just literally watching somebody just sit and needle bind, but you're watching, you know, not them like this. This is kind of boring. It's like watching grandma make a sweater, but actually watching the needle binding get done. And it doesn't need to be slow. It doesn't need to explain how you're doing it, just needle binding. But then you need a little bit of noise pollution for it. So then we thought, okay, that might be a good time to answer a question. Like one very common question I get answered is, how did you end up in Norway? Okay, can needle bind and tell that story, for example, for a little while and just do something, I don't know, under 10 minutes or so. Something like that, and we're just needle binding. Karl could also do some things like that too. Like if we have some film of Sally or whatever, and he can tell you what you see in the background, or in front of him while he's talking in the background. But then that would be a great way, because what are you going to talk about while you're needle binding? So the question and answer thing sounded kind of like a good idea. But these things, all of these, it would be okay to put it as early release, but eventually I would put them out there. I mean, it's kind of nice to have at least the Stitch of the Month, and that one should definitely be out there. But then we were thinking, what would be members only, and only members whatsoever? And then I kind of had the idea. I didn't know you could post. You could post on YouTube, but we could do a picture of the day. And a picture of the day could be anything from what the mountains look like today to the project I just finished to maybe Karl finishes a painting a figure, which by the way has no new paint on it since the last 2 weeks. So we're kind of thinking of some things like that. Took a plane to Karl's house. No, that was by boat. Sorry. He was taking a boat a ferry boat. Well, actually, to get to your father's house, you have to take a bus. First, you have to walk to the bus stop. So, okay, first your feet, then a bus, then a train, and then a ferry.
You keep calling this a ferry, but nobody in Norway would
It's a
call
ferry
it
without cars.
It's an express
It's a
boat.
person ferry. Yeah. So that was one. We're trying to think of some things anyway, but we thought maybe we could do that, and we had a lot of good input this week anyway of things we could do. But so we thought, okay, it could do the Stitch of the Month. It's just demonstrating it. It's not meant to be, really learning off of it, but just see what you're doing, and maybe point you to a better page. So Stitch of the Month would be good for that. One could be just emojis and badges, because the little Karl emoji is kind of fun. And the little badges, I took the stars and I colored them, but they're not, I took the same colors as the star badges they have on other YouTube channels, but I did balls of yarn. And I think I mentioned this last time too, but if you get up to 60 months, which is 5 years, so that means you have to do this 5 more years. But if you get a badge for 60 months, then I ran out of ball of yarn colors, so I put one of Karl pouring you a pink beer with a very happy look on his face. And one of the few ones where you don't actually have a hat on your head.
Yeah, what I'm planning to do for this YouTube project is to, in the next week, I'll try as hard as I can to make 5 YouTube 10-minute maybe videos. What I'm going to focus on is history, and what specifically my primary idea was to take people from history that I find fascinating or I think that has gotten too little attention. And I'm not going only Viking, of course. I'm going through all of history. So I thought the first 2 episodes would be Lucius Lucullus, Roman, who kind of is he kind of drowns because he is living at the same time as Gaius Marius and Julius Caesar and those guys. But he does a lot of kind of impressive stuff, and he is also kind of odd. So I want to make one about him. And then you have the Byzantine military genius Belisario. Military historians know a lot about him, but most other people go, who? What? Where? And then I have some other ideas. I went through Bergen on my way to Selja, and I bought the role-playing book, the source book for Call of Cthulhu Dark Ages. This is tabletop role-playing, and it's set in England between the years of 950 and 1050, so basically smack down at the end of the Viking Age. And it's a horror role-playing game. And
We're not ending the lives. No, we're going live every week as planned.
Yes, and
That's
we
always
will probably
somebody at PJ was asking. No, we're not ending the lives
in the summer, but we'll probably.
But we were thinking to add to it. All of a sudden, we saw we qualified for YouTube Premium, and didn't realize it, and so we thought, well, actually, maybe we should take advantage of this.
And
but that means we have to put out more. So we've been making videos because, I'm sorry to interrupt, but with my track record of putting out videos, we need to get a bunch of them ready to go so they're already there instead of waiting to put out one before we do that. Continue, sorry.
Yeah, and the thing I'm doing is also going to be
Really pretty.
on YouTube as normal. It's the only thing is that it's mostly not going to be live. It's going to be something
No,
we
these would
film
be
and
pre-recorded,
film
yeah.
and edit. And the idea with that is that needle binding is
Right after the stream.
what?
No, nothing. Continue.
Needle binding is kind of a narrow field,
Yeah,
and
it is very narrow.
her YouTube channel is called Kobium.
KBUM, which is my first initial and last name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the YouTube channel doesn't have to be exclusively for needle binding, but the Saturday live is Viking needle binding.
Yeah.
So we kind of have to have somebody do some yarn stuff on that.
No, but that was the idea. We got Viking and Nalbinding, so it made it a bit less niche anyway. But then, of course, we get into beer.
But if we are going to be YouTube prostitutes that do everything for the subscribers,
Then it doesn't have to be just Viking or, yeah.
no, then we have to fish in a somewhat broader pool.
Yeah.
And there are places in that pool I feel pretty comfortable.
He likes the Roman bath.
I'm not going to be everywhere. And there are some things I just don't want to do, like reaction videos.
Yeah, no, actually, but we found out that was okay. Yeah, so that was one people said, no, they're kind of tired of reaction videos and you're getting really close to this copyright thing. But you can review it.
I can, but I don't really want, unless it is something that really interests me.
Well,
I
somebody
don't
might
really
want to say,
do
hey,
that.
I want to know what Karl's opinion is of the was it 1962 Vikings movie with Kirk Douglas, for example. That was fun to watch these stupid. That was actually a pretty accurate one too, as we found out.
The thing is, I haven't seen anything better than that.
Yeah. No, that's what somebody was asking actually. Which so we had a customer in the store the other day who was asking us. So if you were to recommend one, what would you think was accurate? And I'm like, okay, look it up. 1960. Picture it. 1962. Kirk Douglas runs across the oars.
Oh, what's the name
Oh,
of
Nikki's almost done with the dishcloth.
what's the name of the other guy in that movie?
I cannot remember for the life of me.
He used to play in the Golden Boys with Roger Moore, American.
I thought I'd like that you think I know that movie. How old do you think I am?
Not a movie.
Okay, there you go.
Tony Curtis.
Was he in that?
Yeah.
Ah. Mr. Las Vegas.
And those two chuckleheads makes the most authentic Viking video. The Viking movie is just mind-blowing to me.
So what you mean you're editing these live videos? No, we're not. Or not. No, that was the ending. No, we're not ending. Oh, that was another one. 259 videos. Do you know what this means? It's 259 weeks, and I think only 3 of them are missing due to some certain issues. And but also
I'm only responsible for one woman.
next week is 260. So divide 260 by 52 weeks a year, and what do you get? We will have been on for 5 years. Well, you almost 5 years because you came in a little bit later, but then that we've been doing this 5 years already. So I don't know, we might have to find a way to celebrate.
I haven't even been doing you for 5 years yet.
4. Anyhow, yeah, so that's actually something kind of funny. If you when you watch this back, you can kind of see how the relationship between Karl and I go from friends to more than friends.
Better friends.
Better friends. Friends with benefits to let's take you home to meet my mom for Christmas. But anyway, oh yeah, that was another thing too. There's a lot of videos to go through these lives. So I couldn't figure out how to do a best of at one point, but apparently we can make shorts from the live. You can take like a clip anywhere between 0 and 3 minutes from any little live and make these little shorts out of it. And that would be kind of fun to put like Karl sitting there going, some people have testicles.
But the thing we are talking about when it comes to editing is that when we are talking live, it's easy to, you just don't start talking until you know what you're going to say.
Yeah.
And there is no problem with me just leaning back and let her needlebind and blabber on.
Yeah.
While I think about what I'm going to say next. But if I'm alone live and just staring into a camera and talking about history with no feedback from the chat, there is going to be a lot of. And then, obviously, you have to remember that in the Roman age, you have two classes of people. You have the patricians and you have the plebeians. There's going to be a lot of that. And that isn't really acceptable if you are
Yeah.
pre-recording and releasing something. So you have to kind of remove the stupid little breaks and just stopping to kind of load your brain things. We accidentally kind of learned editing like 2 years ago.
Yeah, maybe a little bit more than that for the school project thing, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, but that was on Microsoft. This is a Mac, so I got to learn that too.
Yeah, but we know we know what we are trying to do, so to speak.
Yeah.
Holy hell, that was an enormous amount of work for
The
a tiny little
voiceovers to
project.
try to, yeah, but now we kind of figured out how to do it. So that's actually something too, because then if that's another thing is with the lives we can feed off of you guys, and it's a conversation. It's much more fun.
Yeah.
But when you're trying to pre-record this, it's not that easy. We find that out in St. Paul when we're trying to film. I still got to edit that sucker. But another thing could be you can. You could tell your stories or whatever, and over. I can sit there and needlebind. They can watch that while you tell something in the background, flip it to you every once in a while. What would that do? But that's pre-recorded.
Yeah.
Then you're feeding off of me, basically, instead of just trying to remember it all off the top of your head, because sooner or later I will sit there and I'll ask you a question. Like...
It's a matter of trying to make something without going completely overboard with all the things we could do.
Yeah.
Because if I'm going to make a presentation about somebody from history, take Lucius Lucullus, for instance, it would be nice to be able to show pictures and maps and other things. So you have busts of the guy, so we have a kind of an idea of what he probably looked like. And showing pictures of that bust would help, but it's not really necessary.
Nah.
And what goes on, a lot of people will probably just be listening to it anyway. That's how I usually use YouTube.
Yeah.
When I'm working and destroying my hands at work.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So
What I generally do, because there is a lot of loud noise, particularly when I'm in the workshop. So there will be times where I just can't pay attention to what I'm listening to.
Mm-hmm.
So my favorite thing is to find, I like police interrogations of really stupid people.
Yeah.
So like the Sarah Boone police interrogation, for instance.
Yeah.
Because everything is repeated 7 million times, because Sarah Boone has to somehow manage to
Sarah Boone, the one who accidentally forgot that her boyfriend was zipped in a suitcase and fell down a flight of stairs while she was only resting her eyes for a little bit.
Yes. So I'm listening to police interrogations
That's
because
so sad.
I don't need to pay attention all the time to get the gist of it. And I'm not looking at my phone, obviously, because my phone is in my bag and my earbuds are in my ears, and then I have air protection on the outside of those. And I think, at least when it comes to talking YouTube, like Simon Whistler, those guys,
Yeah.
a lot of people are not actually watching it. They are just listening to it.
And they're doing like we're doing here, really. I get a lot of... So now, and like, you're going to love this segue, because the chat is really good right now, and I'm giggling over here, and Karl doesn't know why. So speaking of people that are not actually watching you, but listening to you and doing other things, then you've got the whole discussion of modules coming up here and the Warhammer thing going on, which, by the way, I think it would be kind of fun to listen to you tell a story while you're trying to paint a figure or assemble one. Torben says, so while you were talking of names, I've dry brushed 7 models. But that's the whole point. The first line of the whole thing is grab your project. Anyway, so but he's listening. But no, it gets better now. You have to listen to the good stuff. Albert says, laugh out loud, by the way. Torben, Necrons only need lead belcher. So it's, and I saw, it's just lead belcher paint and a little bit of dry brush. Come on, Torben, you can do it. No, anyway, but so Torben obviously takes insult to this and says, Albert, don't blaspheme. You are underestimating my powers. And then Albert says, no, I'm just saying that Necrons are easy to paint. And then Albert continues on, but I would love to see yours, trying to like add some finesse to this. Torben says, depends on your standards. And then Albert says, that is true tabletop, ready is easy. Torben says, so how to paint a good shade of rust. Anyway, so we're having some good conversations while you're babbling away.
Yeah, no, I get
No,
it.
but the whole point is you're crafting and we're just
But
keeping
it's also
entertained.
also with this live stream, a lot of people are not actually looking at the screen.
Yeah.
A lot of people are either dry brushing their neckerons or they are needle binding something.
Needle binding.
And
It's a gazillion stitches and I only got this far.
I try to keep my beard as fabulous as possible, but I think a lot of people are not seeing it.
No, I'm so sorry. And then there was a bit more here. Redisby says, have you seen Hem till Midgard TV from Sweden, or so Home to Midgard? It's a comedy show from the 2000s. I have not heard of that one. It's about Vikings. Yeah, I have to write that one down. Hem to Midgard. Hem till Midgard, which should be Jem till Midgard in Norwegian. Hem.
Or you won't find this in Norwegian.
Oh, we will find it, and then you can react to it. No, not react to it. You can review it. It's been a long time since we've done the movies, so that'll be fun. Does fried garlic count? I think this is also of the things one of them was gonna wait until we were done to do something, and Nikki said, "No, sit down. This could take a while." Now we've hit the 2-hour mark almost, so we should definitely call it at that. Torben says, "I don't take insult, Karen." I don't take insult, Karen. That's how I read that. 19 of 5,000. I am sewing a linen dress, says Outer. Oh my gosh. That's you're gonna in your hand sewing it too. I bet Outer does such wonderful work. Ooh, my ear is ringing. Karl must be thinking about me. Using Citadel, says Torben. Oh yeah, we were talking about that. There was like a whole video on how to do rust. Nikki's Nalbinding by Karl. I can see your fab beard. Oh, and by the way, James was doing something really obscure and I missed it. I saw he mentioned it twice. I forgot to mention it. I'm working on Hawaiian knotted I'm working on a Hawaiian knotted technique. So I have to Google that to see what a Hawaiian knot looks like. But that will be cool to see.
Do they only have one knot?
I don't know. It's a very small island. 7 of them, I guess. But you got the big island too.
Yes, but
I've been to Hawaii.
They will probably have more than one knot.
I've been 5 of the 7 islands. So mostly Citadel, says Torben. He's thins down oil paints for washes. Oh, I didn't think of that. I got a lot of oil paint. We could try to do that. I've tried several different potential stitches on this Roman dodecahedron, says PJ. Then we're back onto that one too, the dodecahedron. And then Nikki says, Karl, I'm Nalbinding, but I can see your fab beard.
It's good to be appreciated.
Okay, so anyway, I think we got YouTube kind of figured out. I did kind of like the idea that you can post on YouTube, which I didn't know you could do a picture. So we could do a picture of the day, and that could be. Well, today's picture of the day is Karl with a cat on his shoulder again. So we could put those up, and I could date those back to January 1st, no problem.
I'm trying to start.
That could be a members only thing.
I'm trying to start to think like a YouTuber.
Yeah.
So I was thinking.
Are you photographing your food?
I could maybe take out the gimbal when I get off the boat and film my walking path from the boat to the train station.
It's interesting.
But it's Bergen, so it was raining like enormously when I got there.
It's always raining.
So I just got, okay, fuck it. But I'm coming back later, so I can do that at some point.
But that was one. Sorry, go ahead.
But it's like small things like that we can easily do.
Yeah.
It's just that there won't be really a kind of team or any kind of collecting structure to it.
One of my favorite ones is when I was at your father's house. This is when your parents' house. This is when you were sick, and I turned out to be getting sick that night. And I was just gonna walk around a little bit, and then I thought I could just make a full circle. Turns out there's like an inner circle and an outer circle, which I happened to be walking. And Karl enjoyed it because he could just kind of log into YouTube to see where the fuck I was.
Yeah, no,
but that was actually kind of fun to see. And the ones that we were driving in the car too, and you can see filming, they're kind of interesting to watch.
The geography is like this. This is the inner circle.
Yeah.
Our house is here. This is the outer circle. And when I log into YouTube, I see that she is right down there. I could probably just walk down to my garden and yell her name and she would hear it. But it's like, okay, she went the wrong way.
Yeah, I thought I could just walk up, but it was a driveway, so it was somebody's driveway, so I couldn't just. I think I split my yarn. No, so
Unless you are good at mountaineering, you're not getting from there and up to
no, I
us.
could not. It was like climbing up a mountain, quite literally.
Mm.
No, but anyway, those are things we could do. But these videos, we could do them as early release.
I don't think so. Well,
Some of them don't have to be,
the
but
small things
yeah,
like whatever, the
yeah.
walking from the.
Well, I don't think the Stitch of the Month should be an
But
early release thing. I think that should just be released. But
yeah, but when it comes to things like the things I'm going to make about history,
yeah,
it's not going to change. It's not like, oh, you have a heads up on the competition because you know about Lucius Lucullus 7 days before the people are not paying me money.
Agrippa says hello.
It's not going to make a difference.
Yeah.
And also, as soon as I release it, I want feedback as soon as possible.
See you, Nikki. I'm just reading more. Albert and Torben are totally. You know, it's almost worth leaving the chat open just to watch those two go at it. That sounds bad, but you know what I mean. Since you two seem to like innuendos, I think you'll like that TV series. Okay, we're watching it. Him till Midgard. Him. It'd have to be Swedish. Him till
Yeah,
Midgard.
when it comes to Swedish things, you can watch it.
I can watch it. That's because you can't understand it, you flippin' Westerner.
I understand it just fine. It just drives me absolutely bonkers.
No, men jag kan prata svenska om ni vill.
Whenever I hear Swedish, I just want to punch
Nej,
somebody.
men Karl då. Tack och hej, leverpastej. Okay. You could try. They're getting kind of silly in there. Torben's considering using engine oil on his figures now, so this is not good. But you know, he opened a beer. Okay, so I was gonna say though, post if we do a picture of the day, that can just be members only all the time because that doesn't really make like that's not a real big deal if that one's available. But most of these early release, I would rather they be public after a while anyway. Not
At least that I'm not worried about because we take pictures all the time. So
yeah, no, we
have
got tons.
really,
We got
like
tons.
an enormous
I'm not
backlog of
kidding.
pictures.
Yeah, I can go back to January 1st and no problem, so I can start uploading those. But anyway, thing is, we hope to do something like this soon. We are just uploading videos right now. We got 2 videos uploaded so far, but that's just the quick ones. And then we'll get some more recorded as soon as possible.
Yeah.
Start putting those up, and as soon as we got a little log of it, then we can open up the thing for membership, and we'll do the 3 tiers, I think.
And I'm pretty convinced that it isn't a good idea to try to do everything.
No.
But we should try to widen the pool a little bit.
Oh no, we have to widen the pool, but it's not Viking Nalbinding anymore. That's Karin BM or KBM. But the lives is very important to say. The lives that we're doing, this is therapy for us. So
Yeah.
this is therapy for Karl and I. This is about as social as we get in this valley in the winter, especially. So no, we will definitely do this.
That's not entirely correct.
Oh,
but,
it is, and you know it.
but it's also structure.
It is structure,
we
yeah.
have an objective and something to look forward to and plan a little bit.
And people actually
It's
come
not
and say
like we
hi.
put an enormous amount of planning into this, but we kind of
No.
have like, oh, that's something I can bring up on YouTube.
My planning this week was cat weasel, boy Viking names, and the name of the stitch from last week. That was my plan. Yeah, Polvijärvi, the stitch of the month. But anyway, so no, we'll still do this live every week. It'll either be on a Saturday or Friday, but we'll still do it every week, and we'll at least announce when next week's is by the end of the first sending. So, for example, we have no problem going on Saturday next week too.
Yeah,
and it'll still be
also,
at 6:30
Just so you know,
Norway time. Yeah.
next week, if we haven't gotten to Voss before next week's Sunday,
Yeah.
I'm going to get really drunk.
Alrighty then. How?
Because the alternatives are this.
Oh, because he's running out of beer. This
Or
is another reason
Birzici.
why we have to do a membership thing. Karl needs more beer.
I have Birzici. That's I'm
You have the
perfectly fine
Birzici,
by
yeah,
that,
and
but you know what that kind of does
Can't
to
do
me.
Friday, says PJ. No. It was before. It was some people couldn't do Saturdays, and then so when it switches, but we try to keep it as consistent as possible. It would always be either 6 or 6:30. Right now it's 6:30 because we have transportation issues. But often we've done it at 6 o'clock, which was right when we were closing, so that you could see around the village, etc. as well. And I noticed that it was still a light out right before we started, but so we're getting closer to when we can film in the village again. The sun went down like 2 minutes after we went live, but or not the sun, but the light. It got too dark after that. Okay, so anyway, we'll still do this live every week, and we will mention usually at the end of the sending when the next one will be, even though I'm horrible at posting a link in advance.
As far as free YouTube is concerned, we are probably just going to get a little bit better.
Yeah, it's just the extra stuff. The extra stuff will be...
And because we have
can do a
extra
member
stuff,
thing.
we want to attract more subscribers and more people.
Yeah.
So we are going to do more things that will be directly uploaded to YouTube.
Yep.
I
I like the super chat idea too. Then you can get a sticker of Karl that goes "Rah!" on the YouTube live. Yeah.
But we do this for fun. We have
there's no income for this whatsoever.
We have no real ambitions of getting, well, maybe a new lamp.
This is my Stitch and Bitch group. We're doing this for free.
Say that I consider paid YouTube an enormous success if we get enough money to buy a proper lamp.
Yeah, no, I got a paint light up there now because the cat knocked the other one down. As you can see it in my glasses there. Now I'm blind as a bat though because I look straight into the light. Don't look into the LED. But yeah, no, anyway, so it's 5 years that we've been doing this, so it's about time we didn't. I do speak Swedish, for those who didn't know. Swedish is my third language. You got English first. I learned Spanish for 7 years. Then I learned Swedish for 3. Then I met a Norwegian and fucked up all the Swedish.
But Swedish is not really a language. It's just sounds you make when you are retarded.
Nej, det är inte det.
Point proven.
Ni förstår inget. Anyway, and then picking up some other ones since then.
I really haven't to listen to it since 1905.
No, I've been listening since 1997. 1997. Make your own lamps, man. Yeah, I gotta like the rainbow LED that Torben made. Okay, no, so we are literally at, we're 2 minutes away from 2 hours, so Nikki might be right about the new 1 hour is the new 2 hours. If you get rid of the live, I'd leave, says Arlene. No, we're not getting rid of the live. We have to have the live. Absolutely, it's the extra stuff.
We might end up with another live.
We might end up with another live, yeah.
But that would not be weekly. That would be occasionally.
Yeah, that would be occasionally. No, this is anything extra. But actually, because we didn't realize that we could do that too. But then it might be actually worth putting some more time in it and doing little things like little shorts and stuff. So now, after talking to some people that have been following some other people on YouTube or these paid memberships and finding out what they pay for, etc. And there's a lot of things they kind of want to see what goes on behind the scenes, like just the walk to work or sit and chat or little extra projects that take time. And I do like the idea of going through these 259 live sendings and picking out little bits and pieces and making a short for them so that you can just get the little things like when I ripped Karl a new asshole for telling his mother I could make turkey. Little snippets like that might be kind of fun.
It was my sister, not my mother, but yes.
Yeah. No, it's your sister, yeah, okay.
Here you have this perfectly operational American who can't make a turkey.
What in the hell? I mean, that's like religion in the United States. I'm like, no, I have a tame American. You don't want to go down this road again. Things have not changed in 4 years. I will still rip you a new asshole. Oh, Christ, we got to get off.
Yeah,
we have to get off the computer.
The one thing that people keep saying to anybody who tries to become a YouTuber is don't quit your day job.
Yeah.
And since
this
I
isn't
have
our day job.
absolutely no intention of quitting my day job, we are just pushing this as hard as we can. If it works, it works.
If it works, it works.
If not, at least we are having fun.
Yeah, but it'd be kind of fun to do. But then, like we said, we have to make it beneficial. So we could do a really simple one, which is just the badges and the little Karl emojis. The more members you get, the more emojis we can make. So right now we have 5. Yeah, and then the next one could be something like early release, and some other ones could be just, I don't know, specific. We could put bloopers in there too. I had a really nice blooper where I was explaining on needle binding, and then you take the loop and the thumb and you put it on the loop.
And the thing is, most of our bloopers are live. So they are
Yeah.
already there. They're already available. They are
But
in
I
the
can make
actual
shorts. I
sandings.
can make shorts out of the live, so you don't
But
have to
as
dig.
soon as we start to pre-record things,
Yep.
there is going to be things like that.
Oh, do you know how many times it took me to show that stitch from last month? 20 takes. One, I've got the cat playing
Oh.
football in the background with a piece of paper, and then I finally stop. Then he stands at the door and starts whining through the middle of it. Then he starts bumping into my hands constantly. Then he
Don't
starts climbing up the wall.
don't say his name, but do you remember when one of our co-workers was supposed to pronounce a particular word? What was it again? It was something like hospitality.
Oh, hospitable. He couldn't say hospitable. Hospitable. He went Italian with it.
He just couldn't. And it, yeah, we don't have this on type, unfortunately.
No, but these are stupid stories we could put up for
But
fun.
if we had it,
Hospitable.
it's mind blowing.
Hospitable. No.
We are looking him into the eyes and pronouncing it for him.
Hospitable.
Then he looks back and he
Spit.
goes, "Hospital!" He just couldn't say it.
You could take stories from the past and repeat them as well. Yeah, that's exactly it. There's a lot of fun stuff in there. We've repeated, like just like the food tasting or the beer tasting or book review, for example. But instead of having to dig them up, we can just make little shorts from those. So even just from then. And then, of course, we've got pictures from United States that I still have to put out. We have the and videos, and the Aurora Borealis that we saw on the way back on New Year's Day, for example. There's a lot of footage that we just need to edit and put up. Or when we were taking the boat away from Bergen, for example.
Oh.
I have a lot of footage of that too. So we can do something with it.
I had another idea when I was in Selja, and this is basically an example of how my brain bloody works.
Yeah.
I got the idea because in Selja, where I grew up, I have a lot of things lying around. So I was thinking, mostly weapons. I was thinking, yeah, since this is not live, we are not going to get shut down if I show weapons. So I could maybe make some kind of presentation of the things I have lying around. So like the branding irons I just mentioned.
Yeah, but you have to do those pre-recorded, right?
Yes.
And that's okay?
That's fine.
Okay.
So I was thinking, maybe I could make some kind of movie series about objects I have. So I was thinking, maybe I should call it something like My Favorite Things. And then I started thinking about the song. From The
Raindrops
Sound of
on
Music.
roses and whiskers on kittens.
And then I spent like 2 hours trying to rewrite it in a way that makes sense. So instead of raindrops and roses, it's handguns and daggers. And then it occurs to me that I have no musical talent at all.
Yeah.
I am not the guy for this. But the idea is still there. I don't really care about the music, but I could make a product like that where I'm showing off objects. I need weapons for the most part, but some other things. Because historical things, and now I'm defining history as from before 1945.
Yeah.
Somewhere there.
I split my yarn again. Screw it. No one will ever know. I was going to say, there's one more thing here, too. We really should get off, though, the computer. Let's see. PJ says, by the way, did you see the planets? Managed to glimpse Mercury last night. They're in order, all of them. I think you can see 5 to 7 planets anyway. No, 7.
Yeah, which mountain are they behind?
They're in the southwestern sky. It came out last night. It was the first time I think you'll be able to see all of them.
So
Nella says, we haven't even seen the sun since last Monday.
north is there.
Yeah.
So southwest would be there. So it's behind that mountain.
You know, when we leave at work, you can see Venus and you can see Jupiter. You can see it looks like a really bright-ass star, but it's actually a planet. Yeah, so apparently you can see them in a row, but it might be...
No, you can occasionally see
For
them.
us, we might not be able to see it because it might be behind a mountain.
Yes, we are living in a...
Where... yeah. It's like... Yeah. It's all 7. Okay, yeah. All 7 last night, says Nella. 7, but several needed a telescope to see. Yeah. I think it was, 5 you could see. You might be able to see 5 of them with your naked eye. 2 of them you would definitely.
Is Venus the planet I have to be naked to see?
Why do you have to be naked to see Venus?
No reason.
Yes. It does. Okay, no. Anyway, okay. So next Saturday, 6:30, not a problem. There's nothing crashing on the calendar or anything. So we're gonna keep doing Saturdays until we can't do a Saturday. Then we'll switch it again. But then, yes. So if you have any more ideas for YouTube or whatever, let us know. If you know any more baby names for Viking
Yes,
baby names for
and,
boys, put it in the
uh,
comments. Yeah.
So far, I have Lucius, Lucullus, and Belisario. If anybody can come up with,
Yeah, he needs
can't
topics.
guarantee that I will actually do them because they have to kind of interest me a little bit. But any ideas of historical people that you want me to basically talk about for 10 minutes?
Yeah, that would be good. By the way, there's my progress for today. And it's double. It's going to be a pouch because there's no way in hell I'm going to make a hat with this stitch. That took me 2 hours.
This is my project for
We
progress
have
for today.
we have an emoji of him doing that. Okay. Bye-bye. See you next week.
Bye.
There. Oop. Fingers in the way.